Welcome back to the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm Aaron Brightman. This episode is brought to you by Knights of the Raritan and Rutgers NIL Collective. Knights of the Raritan provides a unique way for Rutgers athletic programs to be successful in the ever-changing NIL environment. Become a member of the Knights of the Raritan for a chance to win giveaways, unique experiences, exclusive events, invites, and more. Helping Rutgers student athletes with NIL is the goal. Let's get into Rutgers football. Recruiting news moving so fast. Not going to lie, I had an episode ready to come out on Monday afternoon after the 2 weekend recruits, and then boom, land a huge 4-star recruit Monday afternoon. Got home from work, had the kids. Now here I'm at Monday night. So giving you everything I got left in the tank on this Monday. But a great recruiting weekend for Rutgers. Not the same volume of the week before where they landed 10, but 2 composite 4-star recruits, first in the class, boosting the rankings, but also just bringing in top-end talent that are going to help with the positions that they're coming in at. So let's get into it. I have 3 takeaways for the 3 recruits in terms of where this Rutgers 2025 class is right now and how to kind of look at things and evaluate where Greg Schiano's program is. 21 commits now. Rutgers obviously building a strong core here and rising up the recruiting rankings. Let's get into it. First off, let's cover the 3 individual recruits, and then we'll get to the 3 takeaways. So on Saturday, 3-star offensive lineman Gerrick Gordon committed to Rutgers out of Ocala, Florida. A lot of power offers for Gordon. Duke, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami. Always good to have Florida kids with Miami offers. Purdue, South Carolina, West Virginia. In terms of his rating, he has a 86 grade per 24/7 Sports, 85.11 in their composite. But in the composite, it's ranked the 91st best interior offensive lineman in the country, 1182 nationally. Measurables, 6'3.5", 270. Plays both sides of the line in high school. Projected as an offensive lineman. And a real solid get for them. Keeps the Florida pipeline going. Has an explosiveness. Plays very aggressively. Again, this is a trend we're seeing with Pat Flaherty, offensive line coach, and the type of players he wants. Has a very aggressive approach, proactive approach. This is not an offensive line that lays back. They attack. And that mentality really helped last season. And you can see it in his recruiting now in terms of who he's targeting and the style of offensive lineman that he's going to get. Obviously, Gordon, needs to put on some weight and muscle, but great frame, can't teach that, and certainly shows some intrigue on tape. On Sunday, Rutgers landing a big 4-star safety, Tariq out of Washington, D.C., St. John's High School, 6'1", 190, consensus 4-star, both by 24/7 Sports and all the recruiting services, composite ranking. Actually, much higher in terms of his player grade in the composite. 24/7 Sports has him at a 90 player rating. 24/7 Sports composite, 93.37. 165th nationally. 14th best safety in the country. Second best player in DC. Huge offer list. 30 offers, a ton of Power 5 offers. This was not out of nowhere. He's taken several unofficial visits to Rutgers and now committing to Rutgers. Where, defensively, Greg Schiano, Joe Harris-Simiak, all the assistants have done a great job of strengthening the secondary. Want to get to that in a minute. Hayer brings a ton of speed and versatility to the secondary. He is a track speed athlete, runs the 100, the 200, and a bunch of relays as well. He could pretty much end up anywhere in the secondary. I think he does project well as a safety. Maybe in the Flip Dixon or Desmond Igbenusa role. Scouting report-wise, film-wise, you can see that he's the willingness to come up front and attack the run game, make stop, that kind of hybrid role that Christian Izzian and Flip Dixon played and play, just in terms of a big safety that can almost double as a linebacker and can make plays all over the field. He could also end up, more in a nickel spot along that safety. So we'll see. But a ton of potential and just really solid overall. Doesn't have any real weaknesses on film. And certainly a boost from a rankings perspective. 4-star composite. In terms of all the power offers he has, ton of Big Ten offers. Indiana, Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, Penn State, also Wisconsin. Had Virginia Tech, Virginia, West Virginia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Syracuse, Pitt, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Louisville, Kansas, Georgia Tech, Duke, mentioned Cincinnati, BC, and Auburn. So everybody wanted this kid, and Rutgers secures and gets him to commit before taking his additional visits. Huge win on the recruiting trail on Sunday. And then on Monday afternoon, Rutgers landed another four-star recruit, an offensive lineman, Joshua Blackston, out of Dunbar High in Baltimore, Maryland. Also took an official this past visit. 6'4", 275 pounds. Has an 89.19 composite ranking, 380th nationally, 23rd best interior lineman nationally, top 10 recruit in Maryland. Ton of power offers as well. Boston College, Cincinnati, Maryland, Michigan State, Ohio State, Pitt, Tennessee, Virginia Tech. Had a visit set for Ohio State on June 21st and is committed to Rutgers instead. So great win there, adding a offensive lineman of the future. Great size. Again, going to have to add some weight as well, like Gordon, but just getting the type of lineman that Pat Flaherty loves to have in terms of being physical, fundamentally sound, and having some real, a big frame. And this is going to be exciting. Rutgers has not traditionally done great with higher rated offensive linemen, but I kind of feel like they're due here. And this was just a big win in many ways. So let's get to the three takeaways. First takeaway is in terms of positions. Rutgers really stockpiling talent. Let's start at secondary. In adding Hayer, they have really done a really good job of building up the secondary for now and in the future. Obviously, a position of strength now with Flip Dixon, Desmond Igbenusin, and Shaquan Loyal, all returning starters for the 24 season. Before then, you had Christian Braswell, Christian Izzian, Avery Young, staples there, and all getting run in the NFL, varying degrees. So safeties has been a big part of what this defense has done under Schiano and Harris-Simiak, and the pipeline is strong. Hayer is the highest rated recruit in the 25 class with a 90 rating, like I said, 93 composite, 200 top 250 ranked player, both by 24/7 Sports and the composite rankings, along with Talibi Kaba, who is an athlete committed from Hillside in February, but he's projected to probably play in the secondary as well. So your two top rated players in the 25 class likely to end up in the secondary. Could both end up being safeties. We'll see. Kaba 6'3", right under 200. Hayer is 6'1", 190. Both 90 ratings per 24/7 Sports. So you have that incoming talent with this 25 class. If it holds, which it should, by the way, Hayer per the 24/7 composite rankings with that 93.3 is the 10th all-time highest rated recruit for Rutgers in modern recruiting times per 24/7 Sports composite as of right now. So that's how big of a recruit Hayer is from a ratings perspective, player grade. And then you're looking at what they already have in the 24 class that's new on campus, participated in spring camp. You have Antonio White, who is the highest rated recruit in the 24 class, converted to the secondary. Kaj Sanders from New Jersey, North Jersey, an 88 rating. He looks like he has a bright future in the secondary for Rutgers. Kevin Levy also had a high score of 88. And then they converted Isaiah Crumpler, the receiver from North Carolina, who showed some flashes in the spring game as well. And then that 23 class, guys that, are now going to be in their second year with the program. Bo Mascow, who played in the bowl game, had a couple tackles. He was the fourth highest rated player in the 23 class with an 88. And then Davion Fuse and Jesse O'Fury, former wide receivers. Fuse was kind of an athlete, both talented, Fuse speed, O'Fury size, all being converted now to the secondary. A ton of young talent in that secondary that, the two deep is pretty full right now. But after this coming season, that 25-year Rutgers really stockpiling in the secondary, and it makes sense. It makes sense in terms of the importance of what it means for the defense. Rutgers did a great job of limiting big plays last year. And now you bring in the Pac 12 schools. Now you don't have the Big Ten East anymore. You're going to be playing more passing offenses. So to build up that secondary, which has been a strength of the defense, new opponents year after year without divisions, having the Pac 12 there, pass heavy offenses, really prioritizing the secondary position. And you have guys, it's too early to know who's going to end up at safeties, who's going to be cornerbacks. But in terms of the mix of talent, the speed, some of the size they have now, a lot of track athletes in that secondary. Rutgers has done a really good job of upgrading speed, and they've obviously prioritized the position. Then on offensive line, you now have 5 offensive linemen in the class of 25. You have Joshua Blackston listed as offensive tackle, could play anywhere on the line. You have Jaden Elijah, a 3-star from Matawan, previously committed in February. Chris Vigna from Bergen Catholic, who committed last weekend, 3-star, 88 grade. Elijah has an 88 grade. Blackston has an 88 grade in terms of 24/7. Nakia Wen, big pickup from Michigan, has almost an 89 grade in the 24/7 composites. Top 500 recruit, top 30 interior lineman in the country, right outside the top 5. And Michigan had a ton of Power 5 offers as well. He's at 6'5". And then you also have Gerrick Gordon, who committed this weekend. So 5 offensive linemen in this class. There is potential to add another in 4-star Jalen Matthews out of Toms River North. He's changed up his schedule and kind of announcing all that several times now, and has been kind of hot and cold throughout his recruitment. Keep eyes out for that. If he commits to Rutgers, that is their 6th offensive lineman. That'll boost their ratings as well. But obviously, you can never have enough linemen, both defensive and offensive, and Rutgers prioritizing that and upgrading the talent at the offensive line. I think that is really key, and you're seeing them prioritize it, and it puts this team, because they've had a lot of wins on the recruiting trail and offensive line, and a lot of guys don't work out. And offensive line is one of those position groups where there's a high failure rate, and we saw some 4-stars not work out in recent years. However, they continue to upgrade and raise the floor of the offensive line in terms of the grades. And I think there's a lot of potential there now. So we'll see what happens with Matthews. But huge pickups this weekend with Gordon and with Blackston. I really like Wynn from the week before. Vigna. It's just a really solid group in terms of who they have coming in the future to add to a group that, has some veterans and a lot of unproven offensive linemen behind them. So there's a lot of opportunity for this young group. So biggest one takeaway is just positional depth, adding to the secondary, adding to the offensive line, really trying to prioritize those position groups, which are so vital to both sides of the ball in terms of the future, and really having a lot of options there for that 25 season. Second takeaway is Rutgers just picked up 2 4-star composite recruits, both from the DMV area. Big recruiting wins over Maryland. Maryland wanted both of them. I believe they had visits scheduled with both. If you combine Blackston and Hayer, and also if you look at Gordon, all 3 players combined last week of the 10 commits, and about half the class didn't have Power 4 offers. And 4 or 5 guys did have 6, 8, 10, 12. But these 3 guys, Blackston has 10 Power 4 offers, including Rutgers. Hayer has 25 Power 4 offers. Gordon has 8 Power 4 offers. So that is 43 Power 4 offers between the 3 of them. That is extremely encouraging. Multiple Big Ten teams after all 3 players. These are sought-after recruits, all ranked rather high, and Rutgers really doing some work here, upgrading the talent in the class. But to get wins over other Big Ten schools, to get wins over Maryland, listen, Maryland's kicked Rutgers' butt on the field of late. The biggest way to start changing that is to out-recruit them and get more talent than they have. And Maryland's done a great recruiting job under Mike Loxley, but their class right now is really struggling. So far, it's early, but Rutgers doing damage to them against 2 of their top targets and getting them to get in early here in June. Big wins with Hayer and with Blackston against Maryland. And then the third takeaway is Rutgers is improving in their player rating. A lot of talk about where they're ranked right now. 24/7 Sports Composite updates rankings a little later. Rutgers was listed at 12th before the commitment of Blackston. They'll move up, obviously, but that's really it's fun to say, and I'm not trying to be negative, but it's really not important at this point because they're not going to finish in the top 15. Their player average rating is nowhere close to that. You have to have over a 90 average player rating to finish in the top 20. And Rutgers right now has improved, and that's what I want to focus on, the positives there. They're now over an 87. Before they were under that. Last year, Rutgers finished 35th nationally with an 86.91 player average, which included 4 4 stars and 21 3 stars. Right now, they're up to 2 4 stars in the composite rankings and 19 3 stars, but their floor is higher. They have, the bottom of the class in terms of ratings perspective is better than it was last year. And the potential now, John Forster, the running back out of St. Joe's, Montvale, Rutgers is really pushing hard on him. He's a 4 star. They could get a higher rated kid. Obviously, you're in it with Matthews potentially. So Rutgers has a chance to boost their rating even more. Rutgers now with an 87.21 player rating, adding those 2 4 stars, 19 3 stars. But that pushes them a lot closer in the range of 30, possibly break the 30. But out of that 35, 40 to 50 range, now trending closer to that low 30s range. And we'll see where they end up finishing. But listen, at the end of the day, fit is really important. Position strength in terms of depth, talent, versatility, that's really important. I think they've done both of those really well in terms of who they're targeting. And they're establishing the core of their class. I mean, they're again, like last year, they're going to go into the season with their class more or less set. They're going to have some holes there, some spots to fill that they can use the transfer portal for after the season. We won't know exactly how many spots they have left, but you anticipate they'll take a few more guys in the 25 class. But for a second straight year, they're going to have a real solid class, and they're going to have it built going into the 24 season where they can concentrate on the season, also get ahead in the next recruiting cycle in 26. It's just what stable programs do. What successful, stable programs do. They're not behind the 8 ball, so to speak, in the middle of the season and more reliant on results on the field, impacted by that. Last year they had very few, I think just one decommitment. And regionally, they're all over the place this year. They have 8 different states represented. But again, going out and get, strengthening your footprint in Florida, strengthening your footprint in North Carolina, building the footprint in Georgia, doing really well in the DMV, getting a handful of guys in the Big Ten footprint like they have in recent years. They're not just so reliant on New Jersey. They're not waiting. The Rutgers in the past, and this isn't just Schiano specific, has waited too long in the past. This goes for multiple sports, waiting for New Jersey kids to commit, and then they ultimately get burned, and then they're scrambling at the end. So I think Schiano's really learned a lesson there. He's not over reliant on the state. He's, targeting the right guys, but then he's going out to other geographical footprints with a strong recruiting staff, assistant coaching staff, and he's making headway and he's improving. And you have to see improvement on the recruiting trail. Rutgers had their best season in a decade. You have to see a better class this year than last year. Now, will it work out that way? Nobody knows. But on paper, this is now trending to be a better class. Not significantly better, but better. And that's what you need year after year. The minute you start losing that momentum and you have a losing season, and all of a sudden to get that recruiting momentum back, it's so hard to do. So even incremental improvement is improvement and forward progress and what you need and want on the recruiting trail for a healthy, stable program. Rutgers is doing that in the 25 class. So overall, another good weekend on the recruiting trail for Rutgers. I would say actually great weekend. 2 4-star composites. Gordon's a piece on the offensive line. They're stockpiling talent on the secondary and offensive line. 2 positions need. We talked about with David Anderson, defensive line as well. We have a pod from Friday where we went in the 10 commits from the week before. Check that out. Out recruiting Big Ten schools, out recruiting Maryland. Last weekend, they beat out 2 recruits that Wisconsin had set to visit. So those are really important. If you're going to move up in the conference, you have to have those wins on the recruiting trail against your peers. They're out of the East now. It's no holds barred. Pac-12 is in the mix, but Rutgers is holding its own against the Big Ten on the recruiting trail in 25. And then overall, their player rating average is on the way up, which is what you need. Obviously, a lot of top 250 kids uncommitted. That's why, when you look at school rankings right now, you can't get carried away with the ranking. Look at Michigan, right? Even their own fans are freaking out. They're 47th right now, but they have 6 commits with a player average rating of 92. When they build out the class, they're going to have a very high rating. They'll be top 20, no problem. Maryland right now, 45th, 9 commits, only an average of 86.47. That's going to be tough to build on top of. They're going to have to land 4 and 5-star recruits to really get themselves out of a hole. Illinois is there, 86.62 at 45th. But Miami's at 43rd, but they have a player rating almost of 91. So they're in good position to move up quite a bit. Nebraska is at 87.58 right now on 10 commits. They have 2 4-stars. Northwestern might be 34th, but they only have 3 stars and a player rating of 85th, 85.5. So they're going to be going backwards. Indiana, new head coach, a lot of noise. Frank Signetti, just 33rd with 11 commits, just 11 3-stars. They're at 86.70. And as much as Syracuse and Fran Brown, and listen, they obviously did a really good job building this team for next year. They have a really easy schedule in terms of Power 4, declared easiest by ESPN. We went over that a couple of weeks ago. But right now, in his first full recruiting cycle, he's got 20 commits, just 1 4-star, and an average player ranking of 86.53. They are ranked 14th right now, but they're going to fall back. Wisconsin's at 13, 87.89. They're going to hang in there. They're not going to finish top 15, but they'll be in the top 30. But Rutgers, 87.21. So they're doing pretty well. Want them to do better. Ideally, you want to be in that 88 plus player average rating. Rutgers ultimately needs to get there if they can. That's more of a top 25 traditional recruiting class. But they're trending in the right direction. And I just pointed out some of those other programs to show that Rutgers is definitely having more success in them, not based on the current class ranking, but the player average rating. And again, Rutgers is addressing needs, addressing fit, and depth in key position groups. So overall, great job with Greg Schiano and the coaching staff. Exciting stuff. Stay tuned on Jaylee Matthews, John Forrester, and others. We'll see what happens and how they close things out. Another big visiting weekend coming up. But thank you for listening and watching to this episode of the Scarlet Faithful podcast. And I will talk to you tomorrow.